Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Lucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
Very thankful for 12th man. They've won us games.
Been in college baseball for a while now, but I've never experienced anything like 12th man.
That's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
Our skill set worked great together. Like, he was more speed and I was more power, and then we put together, it was like thunder and lightning, you know.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
All right, let's evaluate things without maroon goggles for a minute. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Look, I think we do. He's Olin Buchanan, by the way.
I am.
Yeah. Your hair looks good.
Thanks.
It's a little different.
Is it?
Yeah, it's kind of like El Natural, but it looks good.
Maybe
I mean, you look younger. Huh.
That's.
I'm glad you got the memo of the same shirt.
For me to look younger, I think it takes more than my hair.
Well.
It takes a mask. But anyway, so what's these maroon goggles you're talking about?
I'm David Nuño, by the way. I'm not saying that we have maroon. I mean, sometimes we do, of course. Everybody's got the goggles of the team, but I want us to evaluate two statements moving forward, okay, in this show. One from Paul Feinbaum, one from Heather Dinich, okay? Heather does not talk about A&M in this statement, but Paul Feinbaum does. And basically, he believes that Notre Dame's going to have to work hard not to make the college football playoffs. And this is from his show yesterday. And he goes, I think the A&M game, ? I don't understand the hype for A&M. Listen, I've been to Kyle Field. Okay, we all get it. It's a fantastic arena. Stadium. But I don't think the team is that great. So I like Notre Dame in that game. So 2 parts. He's basically saying that Notre Dame has an easy schedule minus the A&M game. And he doesn't think the A&M game is all that tough because he doesn't think A&M is all that good.
Okay.
So without goggles, how right or wrong is he?
I think it's going to be at least a toss-up game. So
there's a reason Vegas
he might say that he doesn't think A&M's that good, but what A&M went 7-5 last year. What do you think Notre Dame's record would have been playing A&M's schedule?
What do you think their schedule would have been on their third, fourth quarterback?
Right.
I mean, their record, excuse me. Right?
Maybe it would have been 8-4.
Let's take it in parts, okay? Quarterback. You could put Riley and Connor in the same breath. I believe Connor is a better quarterback. I think most rankings have Connor as a better quarterback. But you can put them in the same breath. But is Connor Wigman not considered when he plays an elite quarterback?
Well, yeah, if you're paying attention.
Yeah.
And like Jordan Rogers said the other day, if you're really paying attention, you see what this guy is.
Makes all the throws, mobile when he needs to be, doesn't turn the ball over a lot. That sounds like a winner to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got that. All right. Defensive line. Do we think it's going to be one of the best in all of college football?
We think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's reason to believe it. You bring in one of the best rushers and add it to a lot of talent, right?
Right.
Where does Notre Dame, if they're vulnerable anywhere, where would it be?
Well, I think that Notre Dame, from the defensive standpoint, I think they're good in the defensive line. They're very good in the secondary. So it's the linebackers are, I think, questionable. I think their offensive line is an area of a lot of questions.
So A&M's going to be really good against most offensive lines because of their defensive line, right? They're going to be really good. And if one team struggles in an area, and by the way, A&M may struggle in the same area.
Yeah. The same places. Notre Dame and A&M are very, very similar. All the way down to having
wide receiver rooms that we're not sure about.
The questions at wide receiver.
Quarterback coming off of an injury.
Both played for Mike Elko.
New system for both.
New system for both.
Right. So there are questions. But maybe I'm too dumb. And someone's going to make that a quote. But you got a healthy quarterback, it changes the conversation. I'm sorry, it does.
It does.
For every team.
Yeah, but I'll say this. I like the idea. I hope everybody is like Paul Feinbaum. I hope everybody is doubting or dismissing A&M in that game.
I don't think that team is great. Okay, well, if we're talking great.
Right. I don't think they're great either. I think they're great.
Right. But if you talk about teams that we think are great right now, the list is like 2 or 3 teams. Great.
Yeah, Notre Dame's not on the list.
No. They're in the top 10. They're number 7
in
the AP poll. I think that's high based on what I know about their offensive line now, right?
Right.
But if they voted on it before, I get it. But great is like 2 or 3 teams right now.
I always say, a great team, I've never seen a great team that didn't have a good to great offensive line.
Yep. So I've been to Kyle Field. Okay, we all get it. It's a fantastic arena. It is. And it does impact games.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. But I don't think the team is so great. So I like Notre Dame in that game. I haven't predicted who's going to win yet because I don't even know. Like in my mind, I would like another week of evaluations. But I'm leaning A&M because of the reason I told you. At home, defensive line, and I just believe in Connor Wigman. Sorry, I do. I believe in Mike Elko. Sorry, I do.
Do we believe that A&M is even better on defense this year than they were last year?
I believe that they are better on defense this year than they were last year, yes. And I can give you multiple reasons why.
Yeah,
the linebacker, I can't say they're better.
Right. They're not going to be
They might be really good, though.
Yeah. So I was just looking up something today about Notre Dame. And their losses last year, the teams they lost to were
Louisville,
which was number 10 in the nation in rushing defense. They also lost to Ohio State, which was number 29 in the nation in rushing defense.
Okay.
And they lost to Clemson, which was number 24
in rushing
in
defense.
the nation last year in rushing defense.
What was A&M in rushing defense?
A&M was 14. And that all that tells me is that if they struggle to run, they become vulnerable. And we think A&M, which was 14th against the run last year, maybe it was somewhat deception because maybe
of the secondary.
People threw more.
Yeah.
But that Notre Dame team had 2 first-round draft choices. A first-round and a second-round draft choice at tackle that aren't there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So plus a 235-pound running back that was taking the draft. Estimate,
yeah.
Let's
estimate his name.
Yeah. So anyway, just something to think about as the matchups. What if A&M can limit Notre Dame's running game?
Here's the part that I don't know. Mike Denbrook with Riley Leonard. I don't know how much better.
It's not like Notre Dame had a poor quarterback last year.
No. But I guess if I expect better offense from Connor with a different system, you might be able to expect better offense from Notre Dame with one of the highest coveted offensive coordinators.
And my answer to that is, okay, that's fine. I get it. But the difference in this with the quarterback is Connor Wigman was stepping in for Max Johnson, who was a fine, serviceable backup. He was a solid player. He wasn't incompetent or anything. But Leonard is taking over for Sam Hartman. I don't know
who's better
if they got better.
Right.
But I know A&M is better with Connor Wigman.
Yeah.
See where I'm going with that?
So now a little Heather Dinich about Notre Dame, not about A&M, okay? But just to kind of help illustrate, I guess, maybe what Paul was getting at. Mm-hmm. This year is going to be different. I don't think I sound like her. This year's going to be different because it's the 3rd season under Marcus Freeman. Okay, yada, yada, yada. What else did she have to say? They've done an excellent job recruiting, using the transfer portal, and, of course, starting quarterback Riley Leonard. She thinks that they're going to win a game in the college football playoffs.
Okay.
She also adds
maybe they lose to A&M and win a game in the college football playoffs.
Notre Dame should also be good on defense. He's got a lot of talent around them. They've returned 9 of the 11 starters on defense. That ranked 7th last year in scoring defense. And they got a loaded roster, 11 projected draft picks in 2025. The only other team that has more is Georgia and Ohio State. So this team can really have a special season under Marcus Freeman, but they've got to keep Riley Leonard healthy.
Well, gosh, maybe A&M should just go ahead and
not show up.
Not show up. I think I respect Notre Dame. I think they're going to have a good football team, but there's. I also have that thing where you say, who's the company you keep last year when you're putting up all those stats.
Yeah.
So, Navy, Stanford, Tennessee State. Where am I? I'm hearing some.
It's your computer.
Is it?
You got to. Yeah, I was going to tell you if you have something open.
I was looking. I didn't realize. I think I was watching some A&M highlights from last year and couldn't figure out where it's coming from. But anyway, I'm not trying to completely dismiss Notre Dame, but it sounds to me that those that are making a case for Notre Dame are completely just dismissing their offensive line issues and the fact that you lost a running back that ran for about 15, 20, 1,200, 1,500 yards last year. And maybe they're going to be much better in the receiver. I think they got a guy from Marshall that, they're hoping this makes a big difference. And we saw what the guy from Louisiana Tech made a big difference for Ole Miss last year, so maybe it'll happen. But other than that, okay. You know what? I'm going to tell you right now, and if there's no catastrophic injuries or anything, I'll be picking A&M in that game.
Yeah. Considerably?
I wouldn't say that. I'm going to pick them to win.
Yeah.
Because the more I keep looking at things, the more I start saying, well.
And let me just add a layer that doesn't matter, but it matters. Nuñoism. Kyle Field on that particular night it's always electric. It's always electric. It's going to be a different level of electric because I believe these last 3 years have made our fan base like these caged animals, and we are looking for a reason to believe. And the reason to believe is a new head coach and a healthy quarterback.
I don't think that's going to bother Notre Dame.
No. I'm just talking about our perspective. You don't think it'll bother them a little bit?
Because I think wherever they go, it's Notre Dame, and everybody gets pumped up for it, and they get excited, and it's loud and all those things wherever Notre Dame goes. Well, I think they're used to raucous atmospheres.
I think Alabama's used to it too, but I think it affected them.
They won.
They did win, but it affected them.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. I hope it affects them. I'm just saying that certain teams are used to playing in front of raucous crowds everywhere they go. Now, look, did they play a road game? And by the way, they weren't that great on the road last year. But they played a road game at Stanford. Is that the same? No. But the road game at Clemson, probably very similar, and they lost. They almost lost at Duke.
That's right.
They lost. They won at NC State. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of reasons to look at them and say, okay, they're going to be good, but does that mean, again, there's plenty of questions for Notre Dame too.
Now, where I think, I don't want to say Paul has a point because I just disagree with him, but there are a lot of unknowns with A&M, and I think that is fair. And if you are saying, I don't know if A&M's, because there are a lot of ifs. If the offensive line is good, if the secondary guys are what we think we are, if Noah Thomas takes a big step, I understand the ifs. Mm-hmm. And when you have too many ifs, there's no if about Torian York.
No.
Right? There's certain players on the Bryce Anderson. There's not an if. We know he's excellent.
He's a good player, yeah.
Right? I think Nick Scordon, the only if is he hasn't done it in the SEC, but he's done it at a high level. So I don't call him an if either.
Right.
But when you have a lot of ifs, I can understand, look, they got to answer a lot of questions for me to really buy in on them being a top 15 level team. That I think is fair. But I think any team with the amount of talent that A&M has at home is a dangerous opponent.
Yes.
That's why it's hard to win on the road in the SEC.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, okay, I would love for everybody to think that they're going to just come into A&M and get an easy win, much like LSU did 2 years ago.
Well, and like Florida, for instance. I think they have a lot of talent. They're an SEC team. I don't think that's a guaranteed win for A&M, although I want it to be.
I don't know that there
are no guarantees.
And as he said, I've said it before too many times. I don't know how many times I've seen a superior team from Texas A&M go to Starkville and lose.
Yeah.
You know, if you what Notre Dame did so well last year that really helped them was they had 16 interceptions. They intercepted the ball.
Yeah.
And they got turnovers, short fields, those kind of things, played bad teams. Connor doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, or he hasn't in his career. So if you can take care of the ball in that game and make Notre Dame earn their yardage, then I think you're going to have a great opportunity to win that game.
Not only does Connor have 19-2 for his career, right? The 2 interceptions came in the exact same game.
And neither were his fault.
Right. Sorry. That's the facts. Those are the facts.
So
deal with them.
So these are just reasons. We're just
talking.
We're just saying, here's some reasons why you think A&M, it's not unreasonable to predict an A&M win.
2 dudes at a bar talking.
Yep.
Even though one dude doesn't drink and the other one rarely drinks.
Right.
But we're still at a bar talking.
Yeah, I mean, they'll let you.
We call it coffee talk, but we could call this bar talk.
Bar talk. I don't drink coffee either. So we can't even sit. But, you know, we could go down to a coffee shop, I guess. I know you drink coffee like crazy.
Cafe Cubano, forget about it, bro.
I get some hot chocolate, I guess.
It's Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of mornings by going to texags.com/coffee. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, how are you feeling about Paul and his opinions out there? Not mad at the guy. By the way, I don't care. I don't get mad at. Let me rephrase it. Actually, that's not completely true. Sometimes I get mad. I try not to get mad at people's opinions because they're their freaking opinions.
They're their opinions.
They're a different person. I'm not mad. I can just give you a different point of view.
Right.
I did get upset with SEC Mike once, but beyond that, you can have your opinion and eat it.
What I am impressed with is sometimes you can tell. Like if I was talking to Paul Feinbaum, he said that if I started asking him questions about A&M, well, what do you think about that? I think a lot of times he wouldn't know the answer. He'd try to just come up with some, standard answer to get out of the conversation because I don't know that he really does a deep dive into all the teams. I think you see a guy like Peter Burns, I talked to yesterday, said, by the way, he told me he was picking A&M in that game. But Jordan Rogers, guys that do a deep dive are looking at it and say, I think these Aggies might be better than people think. The big muscle guy you like, Josh Pate. Yeah. I think that people that do a deep dive into them, they think, this team could be better than you think.
Well, I just think there's been some coaching malpractice over here for the last few years.
You think?
Yeah. And once you have the right doctor, I think you start feeling better. Okay? Sorry.
There has been some coaching malpractice, and it wasn't just one guy.
No, God, no.
Of course, that one guy could have made some changes and he kept telling us how good everybody was.
Obi, we haven't fired you or Zane yet because we're loyal to you. We love you, okay? There's a reason. We feel we can get you there. That's all Jimbo was doing. He's trying to get his people there. Let's go around the room and say hi to the people. Nick Savage is behind. Is it Nick Savage? Is it?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
It's me.
Sometimes I don't know.
Tomorrow it won't be me, but that'll be the last time.
Another day off. Another beach.
Yeah, good one.
Trip.
You know why Paul said those things, David?
I like your hat, by the way.
Thank you.
It's a good hat.
Cool.
Quality hat.
CC Creations, by the way.
CC?
Check it out. Yeah. Paul said that because he heard us talking about his intro song yesterday. That's definitely what it was.
I propped it up.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
But he was mad
I
at
did
me,
have a couple people stop me like, dude, it's catchy, but it's not good. Stop with the good.
It's catchy.
It's catchy. It's tricky. It's catchy.
But, Wildcats are grinning too. Wait, the Razorbacks are hard to stop? When? When was that? Was that song
2009?
Was that song written when Bobby Petrino was the coach?
Now that you mention it,
Tigers rocking in the zoo.
I don't think a real lyricist or like a Nas or Rakim were writing those lyrics.
Yeah.
You're a big Rakim guy, right?
Yeah, Rakim's my favorite.
Yeah. You're more of an Eric B guy or a Rakim guy?
More of a Rakim Amadeus.
Yeah. Good movie, by the way. Anything else, Nick?
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up yesterday. The reason why I think, it doesn't matter, you can throw any analysis out the window. If A&M comes out in these OB's favorite. It's over. They win.
Hey,
what are we looking at?
Look, it's just
It's called a tease, OB.
everybody's jumping to a conclusion like they know what this means.
Oh, I can tell you what that means.
It's a placemat, guys. I've seen it. All right? They had it at the dining hall across the street. It's a placemat. Everybody's jumping in. Oh, my God, it's an alternate uniform.
So Nick said they're coming out in these, so they're going to come out in placemats?
Yeah, they're coming out in placemats. Or table covers, table covers.
If they're black placemats or table cover, whatever you want to call it, they win. That's all I got to say. They win.
If they wear that, they win?
Yeah.
Then
that
you wear it all year long. If that happens. It's just a placemat. Chill out, guys. I've seen it. I had food over there. Okay, that part I made up. I made up the whole thing. But let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center because I know Callie Gardner's got some great
we're going to change the name to the, when they do the Spirit of Aggie Land, we're going to change the lyrics for that game?
No.
Okay. Don't they say something like, yeah, maroon, yeah, white, like that?
You know it's an alternate.
That's why I said they're going to have alternate lyrics for that.
You remember when you were a kid?
I'm sorry, Callie.
It's okay. I enjoy this.
You remember when you were a kid, you'd read Choose Your Own Adventure books, and it would take you down a different path?
No, they didn't have that when I was a kid.
They didn't have that? Santana didn't have that?
I was a kid in like 1960s.
They had Choose Your Own Adventure in the 60s?
Well, maybe they did, and my parents were just too poor to buy it for me.
Libraries are free. Callie, give us something, please.
I wanted to touch on this for a little bit. So the Paris Olympics wrapped up this weekend, and A&M brought home a school record of 8 medals at the games, which included 3 gold, 3 silver, 2 bronze, and also added a world record and 2 Olympic records to their list of Olympic achievements. And the group's 8 medals ranked tied for 4th in the SEC and helped send the league into a 2nd place finish of a conference medal tally, which is really awesome. So congrats to all the SEC schools and especially the Aggies in Paris. Those were fun to watch.
I wish I got more into the Olympics because I know it was community watching. When you watch a playoff game together, a bowl game, like there's a Twitter world where you all feel like you're watching in the same room. All I watched was A&M stuff. That's what I watched. And a little Team USA basketball.
Yeah, how'd the Aggies doing breakdancing?
That one lady from was it Australia? That apparently she wasn't a breakdancer, but she got the country to pay for her to go, and she got 0 scores. What a great move! I wish Olin would have done that.
What are we doing? I watched probably 5 minutes total of the Olympics. What are they doing here? They got dudes beating up girls in boxing. They got breakdancing where they're insulting half the world and they're opening, and I just wasn't for me.
Yeah. Paper rock scissors. Would you watch that Paper rock scissors championships?
But I wouldn't. But you know what? I am happy for the Aggies, Joni Taylor, and all the athletes that went over and won medals and competed. I'm happy for them. I want that to be known.
Rumor has it Joni Taylor might be visiting the studio in the next 24 hours. There's a rumor about it. Okay. 26 hours.
You guys are going to discuss who's more cut?
She's more cut. She's stronger, faster. She works out with my wife sometimes. She's she's on a different level.
Yeah, she has great arms.
Yeah, she's fit. Callie, one more because we're way late, and I can already hear Louis saying, "God, Nuño."
Yeah, we just had a text from Madden in Houston, and it says there are a lot of question marks that could make an outsider think A&M won't be more than 7-5 or 8-4 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one last thing I'll say about this for right now, for the next 30 seconds. Unfortunately, some of the question marks the last 3 years heading into the season were correct.
Yes. Yes, they were.
I'll just leave it at that. But to our credit, we saw those same questions. We just thought they were addressed.
I would look at the roster and I'd see a 10-win roster, but there were deficiencies that weren't necessarily on the roster that led to disappointing years.
Let's hit a break and do a little 24 and 24.
Let's
shall
do
we?
that.
Number 8's coming up.
Number 8?
You excited?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this guy.
I did too. He's big and strong.
He is.
Like them all. All right, sponsorship and vendor opportunities at the Association of Former Students. If your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, then you need to check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during awesome events throughout the year. You got Aggie Ring Day. You got all Aggie Hullabaloo. You've got the Gathering. They all welcome tens of thousands of guests. And there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of those attendees. All of these events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. And these options include title sponsorship naming, on-site presence, activation, recognition, and social media posts, and much, much more. Also, there's these advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, choose a partner that's been supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on the options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. It is the Association of Former Students. I gotta stop this bit. This 5-bomb song bit. I think we've hit the 24-hour mark. It's over.
It's over?
It's over.
You don't think the Razorbacks are hard to stop?
In 2021,
Are you grinning like the Wildcats?
No, not grinning at all. I'm not really a grinner. I'm a fake smile guy. It's TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is now time for our favorite segment of the day. It's called 24 and 24, and we're getting to number 8, brought to you by FBS Appliance. They're committed to delivering an exceptional experience from start to finish. You can trust them to provide unparalleled service for support every step of the way because FBS Appliance is your trusted appliance store. Visit any other 8 showrooms across Texas or find them online at factorybuilderstores.com. And OB number 8 is who?
It's a physical Shamarville. Shamar Stewart. Man, this guy, he was big and impressive last year, but he's just added to that. He's got the big shoulders, and it looks like he's got a muscle on his like his neck, and he can run like crazy. You know what? I know he had he picked up a fumble and ran it for 50 yards for a touchdown against Mississippi State last year, and I remember him running Tyler Van Dyke out of bounds for a sack. But the play that stands out to me last year turned out to be bad, but.
Is this the one that
New Mexico's bringing a wide receiver around, and Shamar sees it and runs the guy down.
Yep.
He's a defensive end at about 290 pounds, and he's running down a wide receiver. And he reaches out to make the tackle, and he grabs the face mask by accident. But beside the point, we're talking about a 6'5", 290-pound, muscled up, Shamarvelous athlete.
I like that word.
Running down a receiver. That's the kind of speed he has.
So they just showed a clip of him jumping up in the air. I mean, it was just, he wasn't even trying, and his vert was ridiculous in that video. So I think the sack and a half stats for last year is a little deceiving because of how close it's the truth. He only had a sack and a half, but it felt kind of like Reuben Owens. We were talking about Reuben Owens. He was a step away from all these huge runs.
Breaking some things.
I feel the same way about Shamar Stewart. He was just a half second away from many more sacks.
Well, he was credited with 6 quarterback pressures on top of the sack and a half, and he broke up some passes, which means he was close. He might have been close and knocked the ball out. But and plus, he had the revolving door, so how much time did he play and all those things. But I'm with you. Here's a guy that's just scratched the surface of what he could be. And he looks like I said, at least visually.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like a guy that's ready. What Jay Bateman said, he said that he was talking to a NFL scout in the offseason and said, hey, let's go into a lab. We're going to make an NFL defensive end, and he's going to come out, Shamar Stewart.
You just see him, and you are impressed. When you're around NFL type looking players, they all catch your attention because they're big. This is a different level of muscles. Yeah, muscles have muscles.
Yeah, to me, just a physical presence, like if he was trying to win a bodybuilding contest, right? Maybe Myles Garrett, right?
Yep.
Since Myles left, this guy might be the most physically impressive looking defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Right?
He feels that way. He does.
That someday he could be if he was so inclined. I'm not saying he's going to be the impact player that Myles was. Maybe he will. But
you're not saying he's not either.
What I hope he is, I hope he can turn out to be an even more productive version of Deshaun Hall on the other side of Nick Scorton. Because, when you had Myles Garrett and Deshaun Hall, that's probably the best tandem of defensive ends A&M has had since this tandem that we're expecting to see between Scorton and Stewart.
Yeah. Couple things. So, am I reading that right? 6'6", 295? Is that what I saw?
Yeah, what I was saying, 6'6", 6'5", 290, 6'6", 295. Yeah,
and to move as nimble as he does at that
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I said, he ran down a receiver. You say, well, he's New Mexico. He's still a wide receiver. And this guy ran him down.
Right.
Yeah, just the different coaching, different ways they're going to get to the quarterback, just him being in his third year, all these things. There's every reason. I'm not going to say he's going to go out and I know he said he wants
15.
to get 15.
I'd love to see it.
You know what? I'd feel great if he got half of that. But
if you gave 7 or 8 sacks,
if you gave me 7.5, I'd feel great about that.
Is it ridiculous to think that between the Shamars and Nick, you get 30 sacks? Is that ridiculous?
That's a lot, right? Because a lot of teams don't get 30 sacks.
Right.
That'd be a lot.
How many sacks did A&M have last year? In the
42.
42. Okay.
42.
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
Yeah. But ridiculous? No, not ridiculous. But Shamar Stewart had
24
Turner
plus.
had 6 last year. 24, I think, would be reasonable because especially if that would need Shamar Stewart to get about half of what his goal is. Because last year, if you want to base it on last year, Nick Scorton had 10.
Yep.
Shamar Turner had 6.
That's 16 right there.
You're 2/3 of the way there.
So you just need 8.
Yeah.
If those translate. And I think they're going to be better at getting to the quarterback this year. And they were good last year. They were really good. Not even good. Like they were very good at getting to the quarterback.
Yeah, and then when you do the things that Jay Bateman, I'm sure Mike Elko's going to have an influence, and I never saw a defensive coordinator that was better about dialing up blitzes from different angles that the opponent wasn't expecting. Yep. So I think they're going to have a tremendous pass rush, and I think Shamar Stewart's going to be a big part of that.
Yep. Let's hit a break here. We will come back with some more. I want to hear from Coach Elko, who was with Marty and McGee. I'm fairly sure they recorded it at SEC Media Days, but they released their little 2-part series yesterday, so we'll get into that right now. If you have pain from arthritis, it's not good, guys. If you got bone-on-bone pain, it's not good, guys. It robs you of a lot of joy in the stuff that you love to do, but there are effective ways to deal with it. And I'm not talking about drugs or surgery. There are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief, and the place to go is QC Kinetics. They use cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your body's own healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. So you've got a lot of pain, let them take care of you. That's what they do. You don't have to have surgery. You don't have to take medication. Just go in and out. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, restore the mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with regenerative restorative cellular treatments for your achy joints. The future of medicine is right now. Call them up at 979-452-6000. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That is 979-452-6000. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the warehouse at CC Creations. If you want to be a part of the conversation, call us up on the Boss Firearms hotline. Local experts, they buy guns, ammo, and accessories. Go to bossfirearms.com to start earning money like a boss today. See what they got for yourself, bossfirearms.com. All right, by the way, 979-693-1150. We've talked Shamar Stewart. Talk about that. You can text or call in the program. We've talked about Feinbaum's comments about he doesn't think A&M's going to be all that good this year. Not that, is it the word he used? Not that great.
Sounds like that. Yeah.
I don't know if great's the word I would use either. I think they're going to be really good.
I think there's potential there, but there's always been potential.
Yeah.
Start turning the potential into reality.
Let's do it. It's been freaking too long. Anyway, so Coach Elko went on with Marty and McGee. I believe it was filmed at SEC Media Days in Dallas, but it was just released this week. The SEC Network did release part of that conversation, talking about the game against Texas. Let's take a listen.
I understand you're a coach, and you're thinking about August, and you're thinking about week one, but what do you think it is going to be like when that game is finally played again in its rightful place at the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, bringing it back the way it's coming back, and obviously with them now coming back into the same conference as us, and what that all will mean, the amount of people that are going to try to be there, what it's going to look like celebrity-wise on both sidelines, all of the people that are going to try to experience that game, it's going to feel a little bit like an occasion. And that's what you want, right? That's what makes college football so special. And so I'm glad they're coming back into our league. I'm glad that we get to play them on Thanksgiving weekend. I'm glad that we get to settle it on the field. It's what college football should be. You know, you shouldn't have two brands like that close, not competing with each other. I think that's what's made this sport special for so many years.
Good stuff there from Coach Elko. The one thing that struck me, it's not even the words, because we know how he feels about it, was when they showed the close-up of Vaughn and his shoulders, the muscle. We were talking about Shamar Stewart, and then you see Von Miller, too. Like, it's just a different level of human.
Yeah, it is. It's something I always aspired to reach and never did.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Genetics, I guess.
Yeah, buddy, it is all about genetics. But I do think it's interesting talking about, like, the kind of celebrities that'll be at that game and the vibe is going to be. It's going to be great. You know, we'll be doing a lot of looking forward to that game. My mind, like a coach, like a good Ryan Broniger, is about Notre Dame right now, though. That's where my mindset is.
As well as should be. I mean, you know, you're going to have the number 7 team in the country come into your home stadium. And it's no longer – when I first came to work at the Eagle in 93, I actually could talk to people that would say, if we go 11-1 and beat Texas, it's a good year. And I just never understood that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
I understood how bad you wanted to beat Texas. And I'm not saying everybody had that idea, but there were people, a lot of people said, as long as we beat Texas, it's a good year. And I'm like, you know, there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
If you went 11-1 and lost to Texas, I would take that right now because that means I probably won the conference championship. And I'm in it for championships. No, I'd rather be 12-0, obviously, but I'm just saying that's the point I'm making. But when there's bigger fish to fry than just the Longhorns, but that'll be a huge game when it happens, and you know it'll be fun. And it'll be going back to our heritage the way it was meant to be with those two teams playing at the end of the year.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's do this. We'll run one more bite. Can we do run more?
Yeah, sure.
One more? Quinn Ewers talking about it. It's a shorter bite, but let's listen to Quinn Ewers talking about this matchup.
We're sitting here in Dallas, and I've written this story 10 times about, are we ever going to play Texas A&M again? Dude, what is it going to be like when that game happens?
Unreal, especially it being there too. I'm excited for that one. It's been 12 years, I think, now. That place is going to be rowdy. I got I hate to say it, but I got a couple buddies that go there, so they're pretty excited about it too. So it's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere, especially it being back on that Thanksgiving weekend.
Yep, everybody on both sides excited. He sounds like a nice young man.
You know, there are those that just don't like players that go to Texas just because they go to Texas, right? Yeah. When I was at the Statesman, I knew people that didn't like Oklahoma just because, you know, somebody went to Oklahoma and you meet nice kids.
Yeah.
McGee used to hang out with the Shipley guy. They were buds, right?
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
You're allowed to be friends.
Just
beat them down.
Just for those 4 hours.
Beat them down.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with more. Right now, we're talking about Chance McClain and Heritage Films. They make documentary films about families. You should certainly reach out to Chance and get yourself a documentary done about your dad, your grandfather, whoever it may be, because he is the absolute best at telling stories. You can tell the story from when your dad met your mom and how your family was started to the way your family business got started and how you've endured some tough times but also overcame all that adversity. You can talk about family ranches and family get-togethers. You can have him be an eye in the sky at Thanksgiving or maybe an Aggie football weekend where everybody goes to a tailgate. You get a chance to have his crew out there, 2-hour documentary done the right way. So that's one option. You can do the Year Flicks as well, which is actually a 20-minute. So the Heritage Film is about a 2-hour documentary. It takes about 8 to 10 weeks to finish. The Year Flicks is a 20-minute video, Q&A for the youngers in the family. Benchmark video, getting to know what they love to do, who they are, what they're into, in a fun kind of way that your kids will certainly enjoy. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looks so good with Maroon U. OB David Nuño, Callie Gardner at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We had some news that came down a little bit ago.
Yes, ESPN released their 2024 college football preseason All-America team, and Nick Scorton of Texas A&M is on the defensive team, and it was heavily dominated by the SEC. They have 7 players on offense and 6 on defense.
You have the names of the players on the SEC players on offense and defense?
I do. Georgia has their quarterback in Carson Beck. Luther Burden is a wide receiver from Missouri. Will Campbell, the offensive tackle from LSU. Tate Rutledge from Georgia. Parker Brailsford from Alabama. Tyler Booker from Alabama. Kelvin Banks from Texas. That is on the offense. And then Tennessee has James Pierce.
Yeah.
Kentucky has Deion Walker. A&M has Nick Scorton. Danny Stutzman from Oklahoma. Harold Perkins from LSU. And Malachi Starks from Georgia.
Big year for Harold Perkins.
Yeah.
He had an amazing freshman year and certainly a step back last year.
It was. I think they started using him wrong.
Yep.
And, we'll see what they do with him this year. He obviously a ton of talent with that kid.
Yeah.
But I hope he has a similar year to last year, at least against the Aggies.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not rooting for him to do bad, but I am rooting for him to struggle against us, right?
Yeah. I mean, no, when we talked to him in Dallas, seemed like a nice enough kid, but like we were just talking about the Longhorns, when you're out there on game day, you're the enemy.
Yeah.
And I'm not hoping for anything good for you on those days.
Yeah. I want you to lose. Right? Like
Yeah.
I want us to destroy every team by 45 points. Callie, any text messages you want to get to?
Yes, we had a text about Shamar Stewart from Madden Houston, and it says, out of all the guys that A&M got in the 22 class, he was the one I was the most excited about, ready to see it all come together for him this season.
Yeah, if it really does come together, he really could have a huge year, and especially, again, with the guys also on that defensive line, you're going to get a lot of one-on-one blocking.
Yep.
He's not going to see a lot of double teams. So opportunity is there for a big year for him.
Yeah, I hope, man. I absolutely hope. Let's get one more in before we have to hit a break.
We had a text from Jerry, and it says, "Hey, David, I'm going to back you up about Kyle Field. Notre Dame plays in high-pressure games every game, but they're not used to playing at Kyle Field. It's very different."
OB, I don't think you're saying that it's not. You're just saying that Notre Dame is more seasoned for it.
They're used to go on everywhere they go. Now, unless it's Navy or someplace like that, but everywhere they go, it's a huge game, and the opponent is sky high, and their fans are, and so they're really excited for it, and so they're used to that kind of environment.
Yeah,
I just don't think that a team that gets used to that kind of environment is going to.
I do think though. I think even really good teams get affected by very loud stadiums and pressure situations. So I think it can affect, but that's not going to be if A&M's going to win, they're going to win in the trenches.
If I think, you can make it difficult for them to hear, but everybody has, but that would be the case at LSU and Alabama and Ohio State and Michigan. You go on and on and on, and they play those guys. Like I'm just saying that you get used to it. You're not surprised by it.
Right. All right. OB, thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate you. Hour number 2 of the program. John Harris to start it off. Just found out Coach Henry's calling in at 9:20. Don't know what we're doing at 9:35. Got a couple of different options that could happen. Either way, you're going to be very happy about it. Jason Howell at 10 o'clock, and then Coach G to close out the show at 10:35. So a lot to get into. If you want to be a part of the conversation, 979-693-1150. You are listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio during the Go Hour, which is coming to a close now. And we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. We're going to go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center as Callie Gardner's got some messages on the YouTube page.
Yes, we have a message from James, and he wants to know how you think the Colin Klein offense will transfer into the SEC.
I think good offense transfers anywhere. And I think being creative transfers anywhere. So I don't have a problem. I mean, obviously I don't have a problem with it. I think it's going to be great. I do. There's a reason that he was one of the most highly coveted offensive coordinators out there. There's a reason Notre Dame wanted him. They ended up getting the other one that was highly touted in Mike Denbrook. So, look, I think it's going to be just fine. I think we're going to see if A&M scored 31-ish points a game, I'm going to be conservative and say, 35, 36 points a game you can expect this year. That's based on nothing other than I think, Kansas State was able to score a lot of points last year. I think with the talent that he has available to him here, the wide receivers obviously have to take a big step up, and the offensive line does. But I don't see a reason that this team can't score 35-plus a game. That might be conservative. That might be outrageous. We're going to find out here in a few weeks. Callie, what else?
We have a follow-up to that, and it says, I think we run all over them in Colin Klein's offense, especially because their defense is mainly the secondary. Klein's offense was 12th in rushing yards per game last year, plus our D-line versus their offensive line, with a prediction of a 31-14 Aggie victory in that game.
I can't go that kind of beat down. I think part of it is just because I don't know what that feels like. Like over the last 3 years, what game has been a beat down? I know there's the obvious ones, right? But against there's so many, and that's just life in big time football, life in the SEC, but life against SEC caliber talent and then what they have in Notre Dame. I just don't see those kind of games happening. I don't. I would not be surprised if A&M were able to win by 10 points. I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame was able to do that. I think it's going to be hard for that offense to get going against this defense. I'm interested to see how A&M's offense adjusts to Notre Dame's defense. Yeah, it may be just the secondary. Their defensive line was okay. I think when you return that many starters on a very good scoring defense, I think it's, we got to give them the credit they deserve. I don't watch them enough to know, where explosive plays are and whatnot, but I feel very good that A&M's going to be able to move the ball, but it's going to be closer than that. Callie, what else?
We have a text from Trevor in College Station, and it says, what are your thoughts about Bussey? Do you think he will play on offense or defense, possibly slot receiver? I'm excited to see where he goes. He is truly an elite athlete.
I think they're still figuring out the Terry Bussey experiment. And not when I say experiment, just because when you got a guy that talented and with that much speed, maybe in the return game, maybe in other areas. But I know he's going to be a factor this year. Let's go right now to the hotline. We are joined by John Harris on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Find him at footballtakeover.com and, of course, the Houston Texans sideline reporter. A couple things happening. I feel like this is a brand new background and a brand new hat, and I like it all. So, John, how do I get one in the mail?
Okay, first of all, this is a 2 years ago model hat.
I like it.
So I don't know where we could get those. I mean, all of them now have the new H. All the hats have the new H, and that's just flying off the shelves. And yeah, this is a new background. They came in and did some cool things. You can see kind of the helmets they put over there. There's the new red helmet. There's that new H helmet that everybody love. I love that new H helmet. It's pretty sweet. So yeah, they did some renovation in our studio. I won't show you the rest of it because it looks like a MASH unit, just stuff all over the place. There might be a dead body over there too. Yeah, so some new things happening as we get ready for 2024 in our studio. It's kind of cool. It's all wrapped with, there's Hyundai over there. There's this new wrap over here, the new screens. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
How are we feeling about the Texans?
Good. Yeah, just as long as guys stay healthy. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is just getting guys healthy. Yesterday got back Joe Mixon, so it's good to see Joe's first day in pads for him. And then you've got Laramie Tunsil who came back, and you just realize how much Laramie means. I mean, I've been talking about it since he's been out. This offense was kind of janky a little bit because Laramie wasn't there. There's just too much pressure created on that side because this defense is going to be stout. And so they were giving up just too much leakage over there. Laramie gets over there yesterday, and all of a sudden it's just he's locking guys up. They're shifting the line away from Laramie because he can handle it on his own, and so they can help other people. So just having Laramie back finally was really good. I don't know how much he'll play this Saturday, but it just goes to show how much when you have that guy at that important position, how it just changes things. And I think Laramie is the best left tackle in the league. I'm said that from the time I saw him at Ole Miss, since the time I saw him at Lake City, Columbia. I thought he was just going to be an absolute animal, and he is. He's a gentle soul, but on the field, man, he's just a cold-blooded killer, and I love it.
Johnny, I'm going to ask you about an opinion of somebody's opinion, all right? And I'm not mad at this opinion. I just disagree with this opinion. So Paul Feinbaum yesterday, I think it was yesterday, was asked about Notre Dame and why he thinks that they should be a shoo-in. They're going to have to work hard to not make the college football playoffs. And he says, I think the A&M game, I don't understand the hype for A&M. Listen, I've been to Kyle Field. Okay, we all get it. It's a fantastic arena, but I don't think that team is that great. So I like Notre Dame in that game. My only issue with that is nobody's saying A&M is great, but a team with that much talent that address their issues at home you don't have to be great. I think they're going to be really good this year, and really good can be good enough to beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that Notre Dame is that great, to be honest. I think Notre Dame has got some special talent at key spots. Ben Morrison, we were talking about last week, Ben Morrison is a fantastic football player at corner. I think it's going to be a great battle, no matter who he's lined up with. I mean, that guy is he's my second best corner, but he's a top 10 player in my Harris 100. I mean, he's incredible. But he's coming off an injury. Xavier Watts at safety is a playmaker. But he was more the recipient of plays that were made by others. I do think up front they're pretty good, but they lost both tackles and then to graduation, and we have one of them here, Blake Fisher. But then they lost another one in training camp. So, and they got to try and block Turner, Stewart, Scourton. I mean, forget it. That's going to be a nightmare. So that's going to put a lot of this on Riley Leonard. So, look, I think there's. I've said this for a long time. It happens definitely in NFL. College, sometimes it's a little less, but still, we get in this situation of, a team was this last year, or the team was this 2 years ago. But this is a new year. And on top of that, it's a new coaching staff. And I do think there are some things that carry over when you have the same coaching staff. When the one that stands out as being different, that was just odd, was 2019 LSU. And that team just had so much talent to overcome what I thought Ed Orgeron, I didn't think was a really good football coach. But that talent was so good, and Joe Brady was incredible with the offense, that they ended up being really good, one of the greatest of all time. But they had the greatest talent of all time. That really is kind of one that stands out. But when you have a different coach, how can you say, well, I don't think A&M's gonna be that good? But when you look at it and say, okay, well, I know this hurts with Reuben being hurt, but Connor Wigman could be the best quarterback in the SEC. Could be. He's at least top 3, top 4. I think the defensive front could be as good as any in the country. I think the receivers are really solid. I think the offensive line has got a lot of guys coming back, and that's key, whether those guys can play better together than they did last year. But I think a lot of that has to deal with coaching. And that really stood out to me when I talked to Billy Lucci at Pro Day, and we talked about the offensive line. And here's a kind of as an aside to the offensive line, and just kind of throw this into the party as well. I'm watching Layden Robinson up with the Patriots, and Layden looks great. Layden should have been a second-round pick. Why was he a fourth-round pick? And I think that goes a lot back to coaching. Well, if you got better coaching on that side, which I think they do, they have better coaching on the offensive line, I think that offense can be much, much better. So what is it that Feinbaum's not seeing? I mean, I think the thing about an opinion, when you throw it out there, is, okay, throw it out there. Aggies suck. Why? Because they always do. That's the worst reason. It's the worst reason. It bothers me. Well, because they always do. No, it's a different team led by a different head coach. what's your reasoning now? Well, if you say, okay, well, last year they had all these guys and they weren't very good. Okay, to me, Elko and the coaching staff kind of changed things. Now, changed for the better or worse, but it ain't going to be the same. And I think that you have to incorporate into an opinion if it matters to you. But when your whole shtick is, say, ridiculous, you know what, and then say it louder and then just keep saying it without anything to back it up, to people that are smart and understand it, you sound like a fool. To people that have been listening forever because you're the voice of the South or whatever the case might be, well, then you end up being, it's catnip to them. So it bothers me because I don't think there's a lot of thought put into that. I think it is, well, A&M's always been this, and so they're going to continue to be this. And I think that is so far from the truth. I think this A&M team that you're going to see this year is going to be much different for a number of reasons. And you have to consider that in the analysis. Now, does that mean that they should go win 12 games automatically this year? No, but I just think this team is going to have a different mindset. It's going to have a different way of doing things. Is it going to be better? No. We just know it's going to be different. And that has to be at least taken into the consideration.
Johnny, I want to go back to some A&M stuff, but I want to ask about Layden Robinson. You saw him with New England. He looked like a different player. So when we talk about coaching, the few months that he's been there, is there enough time to fix a person or fix a scheme or fix an offensive line in the offseason? And I'm asking about this particular offensive line that maybe wasn't used to the best of their abilities over the last couple of years. There's some new pieces, but Adam Cushing putting his stamp on it. Is there enough time to see a night and day offensive line when we get to Notre Dame?
Yeah, I don't know about getting to Notre Dame, you'll see night and day. But I do think you will see improvements. And you can see changes. And sometimes it's as simple as, like, I take Bill Callahan, for instance. Like, Bill Callahan is one of the great offensive line coaches ever. And he was with the Browns, and then the Browns, I think he was with the Browns, and the Browns allowed him to go to the Titans because his son, Brian Callahan, took over as the offensive line coach. I was watching a video, and Bill Callahan, I don't know if you remember this about Mike Tyson, David. Back in the 80s, Mike Tyson did a training regimen, and they trained him with like a box, and it had 9 different squares, and they numbered the box. And so they would say, Kevin Rooney would say 913. And so Tyson would have to throw a combination based on where the numbers were, 913. And he had that memorized. He had that down. And so that was the way that he trained him. Well, Bill Callahan kind of put together the system where he basically gave each different pass protection maneuver a different name or number. And so he could teach his guys, hey, that's a 113, or, hey, that's a 25, or however he classified it. And so players are like, okay, I know what that is. And so it was a lot quicker, and they were a lot quicker to adapt to his teachings once they kind of learned the system that he was kind of training them with. And I thought it was really unique. Not all coaches do that. But I do think that coaches have a different way, a different technique, of teaching and getting their players to use that technique. And I think sometimes when just a different voice says it, and sometimes it can be as simple as, well, hey, why is your foot turned that way? No, turn your foot this way, and that'll help get your body in line, and that makes sense to a player. Now, it could go the other way too. You could put too much on them, and all of a sudden they're thinking too much, and it becomes a disaster. But I think really good coaches find the way that works for Jimmy. They find the right way that works for Joe. They find the right way that works for Adam. They find the right way that works for Layden. And they don't try and shoehorn him into a box of doing it that way. Like, hey, and my great friend, our great friend, Lance Zierlein, his dad I once heard at offensive line clinic, Larry Zierlein. He was talking about how they ran a particular power play. And he gave all these different techniques for what they would use. He's like, because I was at Cincinnati. One year I had a 6'7" guard. We had to put him at guard. And so we had to give him different techniques. The next year they had a 6-foot guard. And they had to give him different techniques. And I think it just comes down to, with offensive line coach, that you got to be able to connect your guys. You got to be able to give them different techniques, and then they got to be able to trust you. And if they trust you and you're giving them different things that work, they'll buy in for however long they're there. And I think that's got to be the biggest thing for coach, to be able to do that and get to them. Can you have a significant change? Yes. You can have the intersection of more experience, better coaching, more athleticism, all to the same spot. Now, will that all jive by the time you get to Notre Dame? Maybe not, but you should at least start to see some of the improvements. Maybe not perfect, because A&M's front's pretty good, how they handle Howard Cross. And again, one of the other things, too, for an offensive line, you're not seeing your defensive front in practice. You're seeing what Notre Dame's doing. And Notre Dame might be throwing you some different stuff than even you think they're going to throw at you. So what might look like some offensive line up and down, that might be a result of all those things happening. A really talented front, obviously new coaching in the kind of heat of battle, and then just some unscripted stuff you've not seen. So I don't expect A&M's line week one to look like the best offensive line we've ever seen. But I do think it's going to get better week by week. That once we get to week 4, week 5, you're going to start to see a unit that really jives together, and it's going to be a much better offensive line unit. I don't know that I expect it week 1. If we see it, great, awesome. I don't know if we'll see that for the reasons I kind of described, but I do think we'll see it in the kind of late September, early October window, and then that thing will just rise the rest of the season.
Johnny, one last thing for you. Colin Klein's offense. Got a text about it. Like, how's it going to translate? Why will it work in the SEC? What worked in the Big 12? I don't have the football acumen that the professor has. So you explain it, why you think, or maybe you don't think it'll be successful in the SEC.
Well, how do we know what he's running? And I mean, it's sort of rhetorical, but, you know, when you're coaching, you know, at Kansas State or wherever you're coaching, you might do certain things because you have certain personnel, right? So you take that personnel and you make it fit. Well, you know, at Kansas State, you have Will Howard. I don't think Will Howard can throw the ball that well. I think he throws it okay. But Will Howard's 6'5", 240, and his backup, Avery Johnson, was a dude that I think he ran 4.3 or 4.4. Well, what are you going to do with those quarterbacks? You're going to run football, right? You're going to run some quarterback run game, just like Colin ran at Kansas State. But then all of a sudden, you get this kid at A&M, and you're like, whoa, he can throw it. We're not going to run that quarterback run game, especially him coming off an injury. So my point in all that is, how do we know exactly what Colin is going to throw at Notre Dame? And if I'm Notre Dame, I'm thinking I'm going to go back and look at that stuff because that's just what coaches do. But I don't know that I'm putting a whole lot of stock in it. I think I'm looking at the 2 games that Connor played, and I know that might not be the scheme, but I feel like there's probably going to be kind of a merging of a lot less quarterback run game, but there's going to be a little bit more play action, maybe RPO type stuff to take advantage of Connor throwing the football. So I don't think, and again, this whole conversation is wrapped into, you can assume what it was last year. But if you assume what it was last year, this year, then you're fooling yourself. Because Colin's in a much different situation. He's got different type talent. Not better, just different. And because of that, he's either going to have to adapt or this offense is going to suck. If he's going to take Connor Wigman and run him 20 times a game, 15 times a game, this offense is going to go nowhere. Now, he's going to have some selected quarterback runs for Connor. But I think he's best in using Connor to move a little bit. I mean, that's fine. But move to throw. Boots, keepers, RPO type stuff, quick decisions. He's not going to take Connor Wigman and turn him into Will Howard and Avery Johnson. Now, you would like for Notre Dame to think that. Oh, yeah, he's going to run. He's going to. Notre Dame's stupid if they think that. Because I'm sitting in a studio with the Houston Texans, and I know that Colin Klein is not going to do that with Connor Wigman. And if he does, I'd be absolutely shocked. I'll do this show next week naked. It wouldn't be next week. The first show after the Notre Dame game. If he runs Connor Wigman 15 times, I'll do the show naked. How about that? There's your bet.
Callie, write it down. I mean,
Write it down.
I'd rather you didn't do it on our show, but on somebody else's show.
Okay, somebody else's show. Okay, but write it down, Callie. Write it down.
I will. I got it right
15
here.
times. Okay.
Not a big fan of nudity on the CW. I'm just saying.
No, me neither. I mean, I'm not either. But I'm just saying that's the level to which I'll go if Colin Klein is running Connor Wigman that often against Notre Dame. It's not going to happen. So Colin's offense ends up having to be tweaked. Now, there were also times, and I remember the Texas game last year, where they got behind. Will Howard had to throw the football to bring them back in that game, and you saw some of Colin Klein's passing concepts, which I thought were solid and really gave Texas issue all the way to the end of the game until they called whatever play they called going for 2 at the end. So I think you're going to see more of those passing concepts. But what's the stereotypical thought? Oh, Colin Klein, he ran the ball all the time at Kansas State. They ran the ball all the time at Kansas State. Well, guess what? I guarantee you, Colin Klein, when he was at Kansas State, you know what he was saying? God dang, man, I wish I had a guy that threw it like Connor Wigman. Well, guess what you've got now, Colin Klein. So I expect it to be completely different.
Johnny, appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Sorry for that visual, David, and to all TexAgs fans. I really love everybody.
I just
thank you, but
by the way,
that visual. Sorry.
Couple things. I know you want to do the swimsuit or the ESPN, body edition. I know that, and that's coming.
Yeah.
I am secretly hoping that Connor runs the ball 16 times healthy, just for this to play out.
I mean, listen. I've paid off bets before. I've had a porn mustache before because I lost a bet.
That's right.
My wife will be very, very mad that I've said this. Now, it can't be 16 scrambles because the offensive line is garbage. That can't be.
Too late.
The offensive line better not be that garbage if he's running 16 times.
We lost you. Sorry, Johnny. We lost you. I can't even hear you anymore.
FootballTakeover.com. Love you. And watch KTRK 13 Texans. I'll be up in the booth with Andy Kalu and Kevin Kugler like I was last week.
Hey, I like that station, by the way.
Hey, yeah, I know you do.
Love
you,
buddy.
Man. Bye.
Bye. All right, FBS Appliance time. They pride themselves on offering a comprehensive solution that sets them apart from all the other appliance competition that's out there. They specialize in providing top-notch sales and installation services for leading brands, ensuring a seamless experience for their customers because their commitment to customer satisfaction is at the core of everything that they do. That is why they've assembled a team of trained professionals who are experts in field. They provide a personalized assistance drawing on their product knowledge and expertise to guide them through the selection process. Whether it's understanding appliance features or accommodating design preferences, they want to work with your budget and help you get exactly what you need. And their services do not stop at sales. They have expert installation carried out by skilled technicians who are factory trained. FBS Appliance wants to be committed to delivering an exceptional experience. 8 showrooms across Texas. Visit them online at factorybuilderstores.com. That is factorybuilderstores.com. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Talk a little patent field. Track and field brought to you by Schulte Roofing, an award-winning roofing company that provides industrial, commercial, and residential services to Belleville, Brenham, Bryan, College Station, Conroe, Montgomery, Navasota, San Antonio, the Woodlands, and surrounding counties. Schulte Roofing is the home of the Bulletproof Roof Guarantee, the industry's absolute best roofing system, roof installation, warranty, and 100% satisfaction guarantee or your money back. We go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. We are joined by Pat Henry, not Patton Field. It's Pat Henry. Coach Henry, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you, David?
I'm good, man. It's been a few weeks since I've seen you. I'm looking forward to chit-chatting about the whole Olympic experience. As a university overall, A&M had 8 medals, which is fantastic, but 6 of those coming in track and field. Just your overall thoughts.
Well, I mean, we really did have a great championship this year. The Olympics is, of course, the best in the world, and we had 10 athletes there, and we came home with 6 medals. So a great showing for Texas A&M.
Pat Henry with us here on TexAgs Radio. Cross country, am I right? They reported this week.
Yeah, cross country reported yesterday. We got 30 plus running this year, and so. We're looking forward this year. We had a really good year last year. Our women qualified at national championship. Our men were really close. So we bring back a huge part of that group, both sides, and we've added some talent on the distance side. We've added a little bit of. We put a little bit more money into the distance program this year, and of course it'll last for a number of years this way. But we're gonna get after it a little bit better with the distance athletes, and so I'm looking forward to this year. I know Coach McCraven. They're working hard this morning. Started at 6 this morning, but most of those guys, if they aren't and ladies, if they aren't in really good shape coming in right now, it's going to be extremely difficult to be competitive over this cross country season. So their work in the summer is a lot of work. They do a lot of work all summer long, and so they just continue to work as they get here right now, because competitions start the 13th of September, and it's a short schedule, being the end of November is the national championship. So if you aren't going good right now, you're in big trouble.
Talking to Pat Henry here on TexAgs Radio. Let's talk a little bit about that staff, too, with Julia and Coach McRaven, who's done such a great job. Just what is their approach, their style?
Well, those guys, Julia's been a good addition to our whole group. Julia started last year with us, and having a female in that group has been good for our ladies. But Wendell has done a great job for almost 20 years with me now, and he's a great distance coach. He, a lot of it depends on the money that you put into that aspect of your program, and it's very difficult on 12.6 scholarships to really focus on having 7, 8 good distance runners to be competitive as a distance program. So we've always treated that aspect of our program like any other discipline. We don't overdo it in any area. And so that means Wendell has done a great job for a lot of years because he's worked with probably less than a lot of people. A lot of the SEC schools don't put a whole lot of money in cross country. There's a couple that do, of course, but it's just selections and the process, the way you run your team. It just kind of dictates success in the program.
Coach Henry, let's talk a little bit about the schedule from a cross-country perspective first, and then obviously track and field.
Yeah, we start September 13th here with just an A&M Invitational. Then October 18th is Arturo Barrios meet, and that meet has Arturo was the world record holder at 10K as an Aggie, and so the meet's named after Arturo, but that meet has gotten better and better. We've got 50 really good institutions coming this year for that meet, so it'll be a great one to watch. Watching 50 teams come at a starting line is a lot of fun to watch, and we have a great course to watch it on. November 1st, we host the SEC Championships here, so as good a meet as you're going to see. And then November 15th, we host the South Central Regional Cross Country Championships here a week before the NCAA Championships, and that's the qualifier for the teams that advance to the national championships, and that'll be here at A&M. So cross-country season, that's our cross-country season. Indoor, normal schedule. We'll start with the McFerrin, the Ted Nelson, the Charlie Thomas meets, and then we host the SEC Indoor Championships here this year. So we have cross-country, and we have the Indoor Championships, both hosted here at Texas A&M. So we have a great SEC schedule. Outdoor meet, regular 44 Farms meet. We'll have the alumni muster. But then we host the NCAA first round here, outdoors with the entire west part of the United States comes here for the qualifying meet, the outdoor championship. So this is a great championship season at Texas A&M with both SEC championships and West regionals here. Be a great place, or great opportunity for people to watch track and field.
Coach Henry, I said this for my job because I felt like it was a very short off season with baseball going so deep, with the Olympics happening. I can just imagine for you, like how short. I mean, it's all here. It's all starting again. It feels like it was real short, doesn't it?
Yeah, we really don't have a summer. We finished the outdoor meet, and then we go to the U.S. Championships, and then there's the Olympic Games this summer, and now we start cross-country up right away. So there's no stop in our sport. That's just the way it is. We continue to train year-round. You just have to be smart about the way you train, depending on your discipline, And so we'll have 100-plus athletes this year on our track and cross-country program. So we've got some good talent, and we're looking forward to the season.
Coach Henry, I appreciate you as always, sir. We'll talk to you very soon.
No, thanks for letting us get on here, David. Appreciate it. We know football season's going right now, and it's hard to think about track and field, but cross-country goes the same time as football, so those people who have an inclination to watch it, we have great crowds at our cross-country meets, so if you have the opportunity to want to come out and watch a cross-country meet, this is a great venue to watch cross-country.
Well, Coach Henry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, thanks for letting us talk.
Yeah, and just so you know, place is always open for you. Anytime you want, the door's open.
Well, thanks, David.
Appreciate you, sir. Pat Henry there on the Boss Firearms Hotline.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. All right, we'll hit a break here. We will come back with something. I don't know what that is. Option A, really good. Option B, really good. Option C, there is no option C. There's just two options. I still don't know which option we're going to pick. Choose your own adventure here on TexAgs Radio. Right now, we're talking duck camp. So this, I can tell you this. They have all these, the best fishing apparel, hunting apparel out there, right? Technical hunting, you name it, right? But one thing I can guarantee, they have these Mallard Game Series hats that you're going to see all over campus. If you go to a game, if you just go walk around, you're going to see the kids and everybody wearing these. But they're the absolute best when we're talking about your camping gear, your fishing gear, comfortable clothing, right? Like, it's not too tight, it's not too loose, it is comfortable. It's exactly the kind of clothing that you want to have. These new shirts from Duck Camp fit good, they feel good, they look good, they're super comfortable. They're not too baggy, they're not too boxy. They're fit. They make you look good, right? And OB and myself, we need all the help we can get. So if you are going hunting soon, you need to reach out to Duck Camp and see all the great gear that they have at duckcamp.com. If you like to go fishing, they've got camos, they've got solids. When I go hunting, I know for a fact, I got a couple of friends I'm going to have lunch with later, Porter and Steve. They're both promising to take me hunting. I'm going to be decked out in Duck Camp gear. That's a fact. All right, it is duckcamp.com. That website is duckcamp.com. They're made for people to live for the moments out there where there are fish to catch, birds to hunt, and time to kill, and football to watch, by the way. Duckcamp.com. All right, it's TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in. So we got some cool content coming down the pipeline on TexAgs.com. Not on this show. We'll probably run snippets. I'm not going to tell you exactly what we're doing yet. As we get closer to the start of the season, I will certainly tell you guys. But I got some cool stuff that Nick's been helping me with, and the staff in the back. Riley's done a great job, Carson, getting us ready for this cool content. But while we're doing that content, we're also talking to some legends, a part of that. So yesterday, Rocky Bernard stopped by studio. We chit-chatted for a little bit, and here's part of our conversation. Well, actually, the entire conversation. That's not the other conversation I'm talking about. I know I confused everybody. Just, it makes sense in my head. Here it is. Let's do a little look back. Rocky Bernard is here in studio to break down the current A&M team, and of course, we'll look back a little bit. Rocky, how you doing, bud?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for coming in. So, Coach Elko, I don't want to make comparisons to RC, right? Because RC is a different kind of legend in my eyes. But what I love about Coach Elko so far, defensive-minded guy that gets his players. Isn't that kind of like, when you talk about RC, that kind of guy?
Oh, that was definitely the mentality, especially when I was in school. Those years, our defense was pretty tough, yeah. And I think that's kind of the mindset that we're getting back to now. Is getting a lot of the big time defensive guys in here and playing the game the right way. So
I don't think that analysts should decide. I think fans and former players should decide on like wrecking crew. Like, do you want your era, 80s and 90s, to be the wrecking crew, or you like the idea all great A&M defenses are the wrecking crew?
At least have that mentality,
yeah.
Of the wrecking crew. I don't know if they call themselves that anymore, but definitely the mentality was, we were going to come in and you're not going to score very many points on us, and like I said, hopefully they get back to that culture of playing great defense.
We haven't had a defensive-minded coach since RC, so now, and Coach Elko, his defenses have been on display. Not only here, he did it at Notre Dame, he did it at A&M, he did it at Duke, and now he's back.
Right. And hopefully he'll do it here.
Yeah.
That's the expectation that everybody has, and I think he's a great enough coach to get that done.
How frustrating have the last few years been?
It's been tough, to watch because I just think the expectations are there, and of course we have all the resources, with the facilities, and definitely had great recruiting classes, but for whatever reason it hasn't transferred over to a lot of big time wins. But I think that we have the right people in place to get that done in these next few years coming up.
What would you say was the specialty in your game? What were you feel like you were elite at? You were an elite defensive lineman, obviously, but what's one area that you like stopping the run, and were you getting into the quarterback? What did you feel you specialized at?
I would just say being consistent, really. Playing the run pretty well. I was a decent pass rusher or whatever, but I think the main thing was just being a consistent player, being in the right place at the right time, and not just kind of doing your own thing out there. And I think that's what made me kind of stand out, as you could count on me to be where I'm supposed to be, pretty much all the time.
This defensive line, you got some names on there, man. You got Shamar, Turner, Shamar Stewart. You got Nick Scorton came in from the Big Ten. When you think about this defensive line, the expectations are to be one of the best in the entire, not only SEC, in the entire country. How do you see this line?
I definitely see them that way.
Yeah.
You could see, the last few years it was kind of trending that way, but I think this year is really going to be special, with the guys that they have, and a lot of good pass rushers, and being in the SEC, first of all, you got to stop the run, but I think getting after the quarterback, we're going to do a really good job of that next year.
People talk about the SEC being elite, and it is. And for the last 20 years, all we've seen is pretty much the SEC with a couple blips here with the Big Ten and whatnot. But in your day, the Big 12 had a big piece of that, right?
Yes, definitely. Back then, the Big 12, I mean, it wasn't SEC caliber, but we definitely had great teams and great athletes that, could match up with those guys. So, but I know being in the SEC is tough. Every week you got to come ready to play because, you've got a lot of great teams. So,
what about more on the defense? Torian York as the captain, a sophomore, a linebacker. He's got some Dat vibes to him. To live up to those standards, that's a different level.
Yeah.
But my point is, he's on that rise.
Right. He can get there though. Like I said, he's a young player, so. He'll have his mistakes or whatever, but, you know, when you have those type of leadership qualities and stuff like that, you know, when you can rally the troops around with you, you know, that makes you a special player, you know, and, you know, he'll just continue to get better and better and better, and hopefully one day could reach that status.
Let's talk about the offense. Quarterback Connor Wigman, when healthy, has been phenomenal. When you see him on the film, what do you see?
I see a guy who is a consistent player, a guy who can make plays outside of the pocket. I think, you know, of course, the big thing is trying to stay healthy, you know, but from what I've seen him play, I mean, the kid looks like he's the real deal.
Unfortunately, the backfield took a hit. Ruben Owens out for the year. But Le'Veon Moss, Amari Daniels, they showed a lot last year. It seems like Colin Klein's offense is going to use the run a lot, have some deceptive plays, some creative plays. How nice is it going to be to have a bit of a creative offense?
It's going to be great. You know, it's, with the Ruben Owens injury, you know, that's going to hurt, you know, because he had big expectations coming into this year. But that's the one good thing about A&M lately is the depth that they've had. So, you know, like you said, they have a lot of guys that are going to come in and have to step up and make plays. But like in this type of offense, I think that, you know, you'll be able to utilize different guys in different places, which will keep, you know, defenses on their toes.
What was your favorite moment as an Aggie?
Oh, wow. Favorite moment as an Aggie?
Is it the 98 year? Is there a particular play? Is it maybe something off the field?
I would say probably the game after 9/11. We played Oklahoma State here, and just to see how the students came together and had the whole stadium in red, white, and blue, and that was another incredible a game to be a part of. So I would probably say that.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal moment. Let's we were joking before the segment about this town, how different it is. So let's go back to 1997 U and now 2024 U when you drive around this town.
Yeah, it looks totally different. I can't even, you know, every time I look around, I'm like, where did that come from? Where did that come from? But it's kind of cool to see that the city has grown so much, you know. But I wish I would have been going to school when it was like this.
Yeah,
because it's really good to see.
I was telling you, like, when I was in school, I wanted to get to a bigger city because, you know, after 3 or 4 years, you're ready to experience, like, life as a professional. And then a few years after being a professional, I'm like, I just can't wait to get back to College Station, man.
Right. Yeah, it's always a good feeling when I come back here. So it's a good time.
You try to come to a bunch of games?
I do. I usually try to come to like at least once a year. Okay. You know, I try to come back, try to go back to the spring game. You know, with the kids, it's kind of hard, you know, trying to get to every single week. But, you know, I do try to get here at least once a year.
Update us on the family. You got a kid playing at Tompkins?
Yes. He'll be a junior this year. So
okay.
Expecting big things from him as well.
Does he want to play beyond high school?
He does.
Yeah.
He does. He thinks he's better than me. So, you know, hopefully he tells me all the time he thinks he's gonna be better than me. So
that's what it. Look, I did not have I didn't have any success athletically like you. Obviously, I didn't have college success. But isn't it funny how our kids think we're like these old washed up guys, and you're like, dude, put on the film.
Right.
I'm Rocky freaking Bernard.
Yeah. I have to show him some highlights sometimes, but he's like, he still thinks he's better than me. He shows me all of his highlights from like just practice or anything. It's like, because he plays running back, so it's a little different. I was defensive lineman, so.
It was funny. We were watching some highlights, getting ready for a segment we're doing from back in the day in the mid '90s to early 2000s, and one of my interns was like, "How do you see this?" Like the video quality seemed, and I'm like, it didn't look this bad back then. It's just over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of funny, to see the way the things like in the media, like highlight tapes and all those things, film. Yeah, it looks like they'll have a game or something I see on Facebook or something, and I'm like, man, that game looks like it was played in the 50s or some 60s compared to now.
Yeah, but back in the day, we thought it looked beautiful.
Right.
All right, so last thing for you, this football team. What do you think is an acceptable year one? When I say acceptable, we'll accept anything, obviously. We're starved for greatness, but does this feel like an 8-4 type of season? Does it feel like a 9-3, maybe even better? How do you feel it looks?
Man, that's kind of tough. That's a tough question.
Because we don't know, right?
We don't really know.
Transfer portal, new coach.
Right, so I think we'll find out real quick against Notre Dame, what we have and I think that after that, watching that game, I think people will really judge what expectations should be for this year. But 8-4, I think people around here, most Aggies are expecting more than that because we have the talent.
So let me change the question then. If the Notre Dame game happens the way we think it can happen, offensive line protects Connor and our defense eats, how does that change the way you look at the rest of the season?
Well, the expectations will go pretty much they'll go through the roof. I think, of course we have tough games coming up after that. And, football's football. Sometimes you win, sometimes you can lose. You just never know. But I think the expectations of this team and the school is to be better than 8-4.
Heck yeah, man. Get me to double digits, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Rocky, I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rocky Bernard here. Way late for a break. Bye. Luckily, it's going to be one of the longest segments of the year. We've got like 45 seconds to hit. So when we come back on TexAgs Radio, Jason Howell will be joining us. After Jason Howell, Coach G will be joining us. And somewhere in there, Callie's got some questions for us to get to. So somewhere in that hour, we're going to, visit which weekend is the most intriguing game?
Oh, yeah.
Is that how you phrased it?
Yeah. Which weekend excites you the most about SEC play overall?
And you have the list of games we'll go through. So we'll do some of that somewhere during the 10 o'clock hour. And, of course, get to your text messages and phone calls at 979-693-1150. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in as I look at my phone for no reason at all here on the program. Let's do a little recruiting country, brought to you by Caprock Health System, a faster patient-centered revolution in care with 2 ERs in the Bryan College Station area. You got the original 24-hour ER in South College Station on William D. Fitch and the full-service hospital with ER in Bryan on Briarcrest. Online, caprockhealthsystem.com. And with that, we go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Jason Howell is joining us. Mr. Howell, how are you, sir?
I'm great. Bringing that shoe salesman smile back to you. Trying to double up on some recruiting country. Let's do it.
Let's do it, buddy. Hey, so I don't think did we talk much about DJ Sanders? I don't know if we did.
We didn't, other than he was expecting to make his decision.
Yeah.
And then
it happened after your hit.
Yeah, then Billy came in and gave the lowdown, the recap and everything. Yeah, DJ, if you want to jump into it, we can dive right in.
Well, yeah, let's just get your thoughts on the addition and another position where, like, you think about defensive line, you think about Texas A&M, and he's going to fall in line.
Yeah, let's talk about how it all kind of went down to begin with. DJ, Ryan Browninger decides to go on vacation. Of course, DJ Sanders, who Ryan has been all over, he decides he's going to make his commitment, and there was a lot of work to find out exactly which way it was going to go. So Ryan got put right to work right before he was going on vacation. So we all did a little bit of digging on that one as we heard the news. DJ doesn't do a lot of media, doesn't do a lot of talking. But we had heard that A&M was way up there on his list throughout his recruitment. We all felt pretty good about where the Aggies stood, but Texas was coming on strong and had been coming on strong and was right there as well. So it was a tough battle all the way to the end. You also have Michigan and Oregon putting a lot of work in. But first off, when we heard that news, we knew we had to be on top of it, and figuring out exactly when it was going to go down was the hardest part. And as people saw, he caught everybody off guard. I think the initial thought was he was going to announce on Thursday, and then he goes ahead and pulls the trigger on, I think it was Wednesday night, and hey, let's do this. But 6'4", 300 pounds, 57-foot shot putter, state finalist in track and field, top 25 in the state in that event. 100 highly productive. I think Billy hit on that as well as the other members of the defensive line class. But highly productive, very big, very the motor is always on go. You can kind of ding him a little bit for playing at a lower level or relying too much on his natural gifts as opposed to getting real technical. But this is an elite athlete and who's got some really strong seasons under his belt, really seasoned, state championship finalist, and the highest rated defensive lineman in the state of Texas. TexAgs, we've had him way up there at the very top of the defensive line group from the very beginning of the cycle. He's just a unique talent with that size and athleticism. And then one last thing I want to hit on. He's the highest rated defensive lineman A&M's had committed at this point in the recruiting cycle since DeMarvin Leal. I did not realize that, until I actually went back and started looking at different classes, and it was very eye-opening to me. And that tells you what
I don't know if I'm understanding. The highest, like, to commit this early, or okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, like, at this point in the recruiting cycle each year, he's the highest rated one since DeMarvin Leal.
Wow.
And again, you're going back to a big versatile athlete I think DeMarvin's being tried at linebacker this year for the Steelers. So, you're looking at a big versatile athlete on the defensive front that that you had to beat Texas, who a lot of people going down the stretch of DeMarvin's recruitment thought he was going to go to Texas. So the Aggies again pull out the big W, and a much needed W. Yeah.
I'm glad you bring that up because one of the things we're going to talk about this new long form article you have, looking back to kind of understand where you are right now, some of the wins, some of the losses. Kind of take us through that.
Well, and I called it the forgotten period because every year about this time, you've got everybody anxious for the season to start. You're not winning all your recruiting battles. Like you got guys that you have prioritized, whether it's the fan base has prioritized them or the coaching staff, and they pick another school and people are upset and year to year, people forget about this time of the year because at the end of the day, everybody looks at the end result and where it ranks, and rankings change, and guys who were thought to be something in preseason may not turn out to be that guy, and at the end of the recruiting cycle. But it's about how people kind of forget where you're at, and I tried to point out, like, it's if you go back and look, you see A&M has, I think, has only been rivaled by the 2019 class as far as the total commits at this point in a recruiting cycle. I think they have more in-state recruit commitments at this point in a recruiting cycle since 2019. Hassan Longstreet's the highest rated quarterback they've had committed since Connor. I mentioned DJ, but they got more offensive linemen committed right now than at any, than Jimbo Fisher had in any of his classes at this point. But everybody wants to glorify that 22 recruiting cycle. Well, at this point in that 22 recruiting cycle, you had a lot of questions. You didn't know what was going to happen, and then the season didn't start off any better. So you went into late September going, what in the world is going to happen? The world's going to end. We're an 18-point dog to Alabama. There's no way we're going to, see this recovery. And then the script flips. Everybody knows what happened that night and how things turned around. But that's people forget this time of the year, and it's good to remind people, hey, look, it wasn't all just free and easy in that 22 cycle. It's not been all free and easy with some of these other big recruiting cycles that Jimbo Fisher had, or even Kevin Sumlin the years before. So it's good to remind yourself and see where you're at, and then say, hey, look, Mike Elko's doing some work, and he's put A&M in a great position to be highly successful in the recruiting trail. And we'll see how it works out. It could go different ways, but they're in a good position. They're in as good a position as you can be going into to the season.
Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. So now that high school practices are in full fold and kids are back in school, maybe we'll start getting back into the swing of things. Kids are thinking about. I know there's a lot of people who commit during the summer, but like with football, now it becomes top of mind again.
Yeah, and we get to go back out. We get to be back in high school practices. Game days are going to be exciting. I'm trying to figure out my schedule for the first few weeks. But shoot, I know Friday I've got a few stops on my mind. And so going to stop in and see some top talents. I like to hold my cards close to the vest a little bit on where I'm going, but stay tuned to TexAgs. We'll have plenty of news on some pretty high priority targets Friday and over the course of the weekend. And then you've got football starting this weekend. Draper, Utah. They're playing some football. Corner Canyon versus American Fork. You got 2026 quarterback target, Helaman Kasuga. By the way, love the name. Get to know it.
Say it again.
I think he's good. Helaman Kasuga.
Helaman Kasuga.
Kasuga. Yeah.
Kasuga.
Like Kasuga.
Kasuga.
Don't do
Like
that.
Canseco's brother.
Not.
Kasuga.
Let's wipe that one out. But yeah, Helaman Kasuga.
Okay.
And Jerome Miles, 2025 wide receiver target, who's high on A&M's list. And both of them just put out top schools in the last few weeks. A&M's very much involved. And Helaman, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Jerome either make their way back for that Notre Dame weekend.
Yeah, talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Radio. Notre Dame weekend is going to be A&M Notre Dame. Let me give top billing to us. Texas A&M Notre Dame weekend is going to be crazy. Yeah. You're starting to get a little clarity on what we could see?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see unless somebody has a game that night, I expect a lot of the commits and several key targets in town. There's not a whole lot that will be uncommitted at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And in some of those cases, they're going to be fresh off commitment. So you may not see many uncommitted 25s, but you're going to see a big group of 26s, a lot from the pool party list. You can expect some guys. I know we've got John Turntine, Javian Osborne, Jesse Ford, out of state 26 is Sincere Johnson, a linebacker out of Ohio. Jordan Thomas, a cornerback out of New Jersey, are planning to be back. Jordan Deck, Daquan Prevost, who was, has been flirting with making a decision, and A&M is very much in that mix for him. So you've got a lot of premium targets in town, a lot of Texas A&M commits expected to be back in town, and it's just going to be a big weekend for with all the opening weekend, game day, Kyle Field, packed house, big game. It should be a lot of fun.
Jason Howell here with us on TexAgs Radio. Jason, I do want to go through some of these upcoming decisions that we're going to have, but before we do that, what are a few positions of need right now that you're looking at, like, all right, for this class in particular, we're going to see them kind of, if not shift, put more of an emphasis here?
Well, I think they've made these a priority from the very beginning. You've got offensive tackle, where you have some guys like Jonte Newman who are very skilled and have that ability to be very highly rated. They are very highly rated. Jonte Newman's a very highly rated guy, 4-star guy. Marcus Garcia, but you have those three 5-star national top 50 type guys in Lamont Rogers, Michael Fasusi, and Ty Haywood that are right here in the DFW area. And I don't expect A&M to let off any of those guys or deprioritize. If they go somewhere else, if they're committed somewhere else, I got a feeling A&M's going to continue to stay on them and see what happens and try and shake something loose one way or the other. Or in Michael's case, he's announcing on the 21st. A&M's right there in the middle of it. And that's a position I think they really would like to get one of those big national top 50 guys at offensive tackle. And then receiver, you see Jerome Miles, a 5-star recruit out of Utah. You've got Kalik Lockett, who just committed to Texas, and I think another just big time playmaker receiver. That's another priority. And then at safety, I think that's something you want to see. Trey McNutt is another one I'm not putting to bed as a target, even after his commitment to Oregon. But you got Jonah Williams right there that's at the front of the mind, and we'll see what happens there as well. But those are safety, playmaker, receiver, and offensive tackle are probably the three. And then I'd throw in maybe another running back. They've looked at adding a second one. They've talked about it. I think it's going to have to be the right guy. But I think that's an area I wouldn't be surprised if they address either in the high school ranks or in the portal.
Jason, Kalikalaka, you mentioned a moment ago, and Trey McNutt and others. Do you still feel like they're, I know that they won't quit going after them, but it's going to be the same kind of pursuit?
Are they gettable?
Yeah.
Is it realistic? Yeah. I mean, that's part of what I talked about yesterday in the long form. At this point in the recruiting process, you have guys that are committed elsewhere that have ended up at A&M. So Le'Veon Moss, he decommitted from Alabama on, I think it was August 12th. And then I think it was late October, early November that he ended up committing to A&M. So Edgerrin Cooper wasn't even on A&M's radar at this point, and he was committed to Oklahoma. There are a number of guys over the years that have been committed or committed to other schools, and A&M's ended up flipping them. Even in this era of NIL, when everybody say, "Oh, once a player commits, he's done," or whatever. No, those guys are still available. Nothing's official until the paperwork's signed, and I think those guys, there's a number of them that, A&M's going to be involved with throughout, and we'll see. We'll see how it ends up playing out, but they're gettable. Guys like Fasusi, Fasusi hasn't committed anywhere, but guys like we mentioned, Lamont Rogers or Khalil Lockett or some of these bigger guys, Trey McNutt, all those guys. I think at the end of the day, they're still, A&M was real close on all of those guys. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's a long road to go. I wouldn't expect anything in the next week or the first month, but those are guys I would definitely keep on my radar and see what happens.
Jason, we'll hit a break here. If you guys got a question for Jason, text them in at 979-693-1150. You can obviously do it on our YouTube page. We're streaming live there every day, or on TexAgs.com on the chat during the show. Right now, though, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. They have a great selection of commercial vehicles, so if you're looking for a commercial vehicle, go to CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com and check it out. They have flatbed trucks. They've got service body trucks. They've got several medium-duty trucks for those heavier jobs. They are locally owned, and Aggie alumni is doing it, and they're getting it done, right? Complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. Free oil changes for life as long as you own that vehicle. So when you buy your vehicle there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, free oil changes. You know how much it costs to change your oil? Like, hello, that's worth it right there. Proud supporter of Aggie Athletics, and they have a great sales staff with many, many years of experience. Make that short drive to Caldwell to experience a car buying experience like never before with that huge inventory of selection to fit most needs. It is Caldwell Country Chevrolet, just south of big city prices. We're talking 15 minutes, the edge of Bryan, to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. I like the song, but that intro every time gets me. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jeweler Recruiting Country, brought to you by Caprock Health System. Jason Howell's joining us here on the Boss Firearms Hotline. All right, Mr. Howell, you've talked about some of these guys, but let's just get specific and learn some more info. Michael Fasusi, he's going to commit on August 21st. It's between OU, A&M, and Texas. How do things stand right now?
But I do want to say he does have Oregon and Mizzou rounding out his top 5.
Okay.
But he has admitted OU, Texas, and A&M are above the rest right now. A&M is the one that tends to get slept on a little bit out of that top 3, and there seems to be more national buzz surrounding Oklahoma and Texas in terms of Michael Fasusi and where he's going to go. But I'm not counting out the Aggies just yet. He's maintained a lot of communication with the Aggies over the last several weeks, last week, and I expect that to continue as he all the way up until his announcement date. I tend to lean towards OU, Texas, and A&M running third right there, just mainly because of that outside buzz. But I do caution, that's going to be one to keep an eye on. A&M still a factor there.
All right, what about Jonah Williams? What's the latest with him?
Again, Texas A&M, LSU, Oregon, Texas, USC is top 5 going in as August 24th commitment date. I've been hearing quite a bit of A&M smoke. Texas, there's been some stuff on social media, and Jonah's kind of doing his thing, showing a lot more interest there with the Longhorns. But I think it probably comes down to A&M, LSU, Oregon, and Texas, the main schools in the mix there. And I like where A&M's situated at right now. Coach Elko's done a really good job there. They've done the whole staff. Aristide he made a name for himself as a recruiter last time he was at A&M, and I think he's done a phenomenal job on that front already in 26, and he's helping lead those efforts along with guys like Mason Smith, and some of those recruiting staffers out there have done a lot of heavy lifting, and I think you're going to see the Aggies be right there in the mix. I would give them the edge a little bit right now.
You guys have been updating your recruiting rankings?
Yeah, we just got it all put out, got everything, got all the got all the bells and whistles after slapped on it with all the ratings and updated all the composites and all that stuff, and got it published yesterday. We got 4 5-stars. I don't think that's changed. We got DK Moore, receiver out of Duncanville, number 1, with Louisville's Michael Fasusi, number 2, Devin Sanchez, a cornerback out of the Houston area at number 3, and Jonah Williams, safety at number 4, all 5-star prospects. And DJ Sanders comes in at number 6 as the first Texas A&M commit. I think Ty Haywood is the first SEC commit in the group at number 5, offensive tackle out of Denton Ryan, who's committed to Alabama. And A&M, Alabama, and Ohio State are the only programs with multiple prospects listed in the top 10 in the state. So, but yeah, all 14 A&M commits make the list. It's a deep year in state with for offensive line, receiver, and linebacker. There's a lot of talent all over the state, and it's a fun class to evaluate.
Jason, let's kind of go through the top prospects at each position. I know A&M's got looks like 1 at the moment. on the offensive side? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, Connor Carty and Tiger Ryden we've got Tiger as the number 1 running back. He comes in at number 17 on the list. Running back out of DeSoto, highly productive, versatile. When Bronny did the offensive comparisons, kind of compared him to Isaiah Spiller. You know, he brings a lot to the table in that department. And then you've got Carty coming in as a top interior offensive lineman at number 23. He's a gritty, athletic center guard prospect who, he just gets after it. Highly intelligent, from one of the best offensive line, schools in the state. They always have offensive linemen at Prosper, and he's one of the best ones they put out.
Mr. Howell, great stuff as always, sir. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Jason Howell here on TexAgs Radio, Recruiting Country, brought to you by Caprock Health System. All right, we're going to hit a break. We'll come back, do a little soccer talk, and then we'll close out with some football talk because Callie's got some football weekends to discuss. Right now, the difference is real. It's all the time. It's not just right now, but the difference is real with Rollo Insurance. They're my insurance provider, and I'm telling you, I've had others. They ain't as good. Like, I like being able to call my guy Morgan anytime, ask him questions about barbecuing, flat tires, or insurance. He'll handle it all for us. Morgan is fantastic, but the entire staff there at Rollo Insurance is second to none. They have offices all over the great state of Texas. Obviously, their headquarters is on Highway 6 here in College Station, which means this is their home. This is their headquarters. This is where they love to be. But you can catch them all over the place in Houston, in Dallas, in Tyler, in Austin, San Antonio, in West Texas, everything outside of Texas as well. They'll take care of your car insurance, your homeowners insurance, your farmers, your ranchers, your hobby farmers, your business owners. And here's the thing about them. They want to make sure that you know their priorities: God, family, and country. They're the best. Absolutely the best at what they do. Their phone number is 888-44-ROLLO, or go to RolloInsurance.com. That is 888-44-ROLLO, or go to RolloInsurance.com. It is Rollo Insurance. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Aggie soccer getting things started tomorrow at Lamar. Let's talk about it on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We are joined by Coach G here on the program. Coach G, good morning. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm well. Looking forward to seeing you all start playing. Let's talk about the preseason and how ready you feel to get it all started tomorrow.
Well, so far so good. I mean, we with tomorrow's match, it's officially the first regular season game of the new sports calendar for Texas A&M. So we're excited to get it going. We've already played 2 preseason matches. We beat Rice at home in an abbreviated game, 1-0 there at Ellis Field, and then went up to Dallas last week and beat SMU up there 1-0 as well. So going over to Lamar, this will be the first time we've ever made the trip to Beaumont, playing against at least a familiar coach in Nathan Kogut, who's their head coach and a former assistant of ours here. We're hoping that we're not walking into a bit of a snake pit because they're a talented team, and we know that he's going to have them ready. They're bringing in extra seats for the game. They're ramping up for what is going to be one of the biggest games that they've ever had. And but it's a good RPI match for us, and we feel like we're ready to go. We've got 10 starters back from last year, and a lot of excitement on the team, and I think a lot of excitement around the team for a big season.
Coach G, correct me if I'm wrong, but last year you had no problem creating offense. It was just sometimes there was issues getting it in the back of the net. But you've brought in some players, and you've got players who have been developing this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were number 2 in the country in shots created, which is pretty phenomenal. Over 350 teams in the country, and so the number of chances that were created is just we didn't have the umph. We hit a lot of obstacles in the way. We brought in a couple. We think a couple special players that can knock it in. Allie Lowry from Rutgers, who's a 5th-year senior who is a good marksman in front of goal who can help us out there. Obviously, Jasmine Wilkinson, who's our leading scorer from last year, is back. She's had a great spring, getting ready for it. Kennedy Clark, who's a sophomore from Xavier, had a great year last year as a freshman up there. Helped them, get a high seed in the NCAA tournament, is in with us. And then, Leah Pirro, who is on the All-America list from Grand Canyon, came over. She's another person who's really solid in front of goal. But I think a lot of it is the whole team is a year older and hopefully a year wiser, playing quicker, and I think a lot of that experience will come into play in how we're going to try to open people up a little bit more, give ourselves a little bit better chances of finishing those opportunities.
In this transfer portal era, how important was it to get most of your players here in January?
Really important because, timing, relationships, having it to where people were kind of getting on the same page as much as possible is important. And I think the portal at the end of the fall is where the most talent is. That's where the biggest movement happens. In the spring, there's not that much movement that's really going on. The biggest impact players were making those moves right at the end of the semester. And one of the one that we had was Shea O'Rourke, who was one of the biggest transfers in the country. Unfortunately, she did her ACL right in the second half of our last spring game, so she's out this season. She'll be back, and we'll have 2 more seasons with us. But that was one of the ones that we were most excited about. But that'll be for another day. That'll be for next season.
G, how about Mac? We saw her start off last season just on fire. She was so fast and the ability to get around all the defenses. But she's also matured quite a bit, just the way she speaks, her command with the team. Just talk a little bit about Mac's growth here with the program.
Well, she's still really fast. She hasn't lost any of that pace. I think one of the things that helped Micaiah out is that just understanding that last year she did start as a house on fire, and a little bit of that flame burned out. And I think her intelligence, in recognizing that, okay, I've got to be able to maintain that over a longer period. That it can't just spark and go. It's got to be a longer burning flame, and I've got to look at what are the things that I've got to do from a nutrition standpoint. What are the things that I've got to do from a day-to-day standpoint to make sure that I can maintain that that edge and that thing that is going to give me those advantages over some of the best athletes in the country that are playing against me and are lined up against me, because she's clearly going to be on everybody's scouting report. Someone that electrifies and is a separator in games. People are going to look at us. They're going to see Mia Pante on one side. They're going to see Micaiah McDonald on the other side. And then when we rest them, they're going to see that Kate Colvin is another one of those players that steps in. And Kate missed most of last year. So those three are, that's a triple-edged sword coming in for Texas A&M. And, for Micaiah and for the other two, can they keep that edge all the time and keep it sharp all the time? Because it's almost unstoppable to keep those guys from, getting their pokes in and getting their jabs in, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for, can one of those three score in just about every game? If that's the case, then we're in really, really good shape this year.
Especially with that defense. Let's talk about your back line that returns some star power back there.
Yeah, our back line is probably the stalwart of the whole team. It's what we kind of base everything on. We know we can send a lot of numbers forward because we've got such a strong force back there, and that's around our two center backs primarily, Margot Matula, an all SEC player, and CC back there, which is Carolyn Calzada, and Carolyn is our captain. She's long legs, very fast, tough as nails, smart, great leader, vocal leader on the field. And then in front of them is our, another one of our fifth-year players is Anderson Williams, who does a great job with Taylor Pounds, who's covers so much ground. So we really can shut people down, and then we quickly can transition in. And I think a lot of people recognize that last year, because of our defense, it kind of made it to where whenever people attacked us, we were, great. Across the country, people recognized that we were maybe the best team in transition from defense to attack in the country, because we could stop you, and then you had people like Micaiah and Mia just blazing from one side of the field to the other side of the field. We were from defense to attack in the snap of the fingers. So we built so much around those guys. The only position that we really had to replace was our goalkeeper. I mean, Kenna Caldwell, who was our senior goalkeeper last year, now is playing in the NWSL with the Orlando Pride, which obviously we're excited for her. So the opportunity now for a new goalkeeper to step in and has been great. We've had we've started two freshmen so far in the other two games, and then we have a sixth-year senior as our other goalkeeper in Grace McClellan. So those three have been kind of sharing the role. We have one more little session today before we take off, and we'll see who plays. We'll see who plays tomorrow. That's been a kind of a who's going to be best for the opponent at hand. Mason Veranda has been really, really solid. She's quick as can be. Grace, with her experience, does a wonderful job in leading. And then you've got kind of the tall, lean, great in the air, real forceful type of player in Sid Fuller as our other goalkeeper. So we feel really good about the goalkeepers that we have. It's just a matter of putting the right one in for the opponent that we've got.
G, last thing for you, just get us ready for Lamar. Obviously, there's a great relationship with Nathan. He's building something good over there. Just talk about this matchup.
Well, they are, like I said, they're back-to-back Southland champions. Last year, they were think they were number 51 in the RPI. And the way the NCAA tournament is determined is pretty much in your wins against, quality opponents. And Lamar is one of those quality opponents. And you get more points in the way that they've put these formulas together by beating good teams like Lamar and beating teams on the road. So us going on the road over to Beaumont to try to get a quality win is, we get more credit for that than winning at home. So we'll try to go on the road against them. They're very organized in the way that they play. They keep a lot of people back behind the ball. They're very good on the break, on a fast break going forward. They've got a really good little attacking midfielder who's got a lot of flair and dynamic movements to her. So we've got to keep an eye on her. But they had to replace some really key players. A great goalkeeper who's playing professionally in Europe now. A great striker who's playing in Australia right now. So they're having to replace some key kids. But we know that they'll be up for the match. We know that it'll be a tight game. You can see it online. You'll be able to listen to it through the 12th Man app. David Ellis will be doing the game on radio, and of course you can watch it by just going in and going through the 12th Man app and finding at 12thman.com. You can find ways to go into the game. It's going to be tomorrow night, 7:00, and that kicks everything off for the start of the athletic season, and we will open our home schedule a week from tonight at home against University of Denver, which is also a tough game as far as the way the RPI goes.
Coach G, great stuff as always, sir. Thanks so much. Good luck. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate you. Thanks, buddy. Have a great day.
You too, sir. Coach G there on the Boss Firearms Hotline, Aggieland's premier gun and accessory shop. They've got all you need to build your next firearm. Check them out at bossfirearms.com. All right, hit a break. Final segment. Football is on tap. We'll close it out with a couple of game weekends to think about. That and more at TexAgs Radio. So annoying when Nick's not back there. He's just, doing whatever. And I'm like, we got to start a segment, bro. Get back. Time to end the day with double days. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. The 12th caller is going to get themselves a free pepperoni roll or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984. They have your favorite pizza. They have your favorite pepperoni rolls. And, of course, they have reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledays.com. And your favorites, well, they're on their way. Callie Gardner is at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Callie, tell me something good.
Just threw something at me.
Yeah, what's up?
I was just curious what weekend of SEC play you were looking forward to the most. I was kind of going through them last night.
Let me pause you right there. I'm like a head coach. I'm just one game at a time, okay? So right now, all my focus is on Notre Dame.
Okay.
And then I'm thinking about the Florida game. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's definitely a coach mentality. I want you to take your we can
Coach
take your
goggles off?
Yeah, for a second.
Okay.
And just be a fan for a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how to be a fan.
I think I do. The problem is I was looking at them, and two of the weekends that I was very intrigued by,
A&M isn't playing.
Yeah,
or?
on both of those weekends they're not playing. So I have a hard time putting that at like the top of my list just because we're not in the mix of that weekend.
So and it's going to be hard to do on radio because there's so much reading we'd have to do.
Right.
But a couple of the options are, you've got the A&M Arkansas weekend, which is Georgia Bama. That'll be interesting. Okay, that's September 28th. A couple weeks after that, you've got Florida Tennessee, Ole Miss LSU, interested, Texas OU. That could be a good one, but no A&M, so it's out.
Out.
October 19th, A&M Mississippi State. I hope it's not a great weekend.
Yeah.
Right? I hope it's just a great weekend, as in I hope we win by 50.
Mm-hmm.
But Kentucky, Florida's making the list a lot. Auburn, Missouri, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia at Texas. That'll be. Is that? Wait, I thought Georgia. Yeah, I guess it isn't the 19th.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the Michigan game week 2. So that's an intriguing game so far. I think the
26th is my favorite.
Yeah. You've got LSU A&M. That's a yes. Okay. You've got Mizzou Bama. Potentially 2 top 10 teams playing against each other. You've got OU Ole Miss. Ole Miss will be a top 10 team. OU by that point will not be. Auburn at Kentucky, I don't care. So, yes, so far the October 26th weekend is the one that I'm most intrigued by. The next one is November 2nd, A&M South Carolina. I'm telling you that I hope that's not a big game because it's hard to go win in South Carolina at night. That's a cool atmosphere. Florida, Georgia. Do you love the University of Florida? Every week, Florida this, Florida that. What's up with Florida?
I think I just included Florida in all of this because we've had so many mixed reviews on this radio show about how Florida's going to perform this season. We've had people come on saying Napier's going to be fired within week 3 or week 2. And then we've had people say, I think they're going to go 7-5 or 8-4. So I just think at that point in the season, we have no idea if they're even going to have a long-term head coach or if it's going to be a 7-5 type of season.
So far, that LSU weekend is the most intriguing of the matchups. Of course, these things will evolve. November 9th, OU Mizzou. Georgia at Ole Miss, very intrigued. Bama at LSU, very intrigued. Florida at Texas, somewhat intrigued. No A&M. So for that reason, it can't be number 1, but this might be my number 2 of the list.
Yeah. I think maybe this next weekend would be my number 2.
November 23rd weekend, good weekend. A&M at Auburn, that's going to be a tough matchup. Mizzou and Mississippi State, don't care. Alabama at OU, I kind of care. I don't know why I care, I just kind of care. Of course, Florida again. Callie loves the Gators. Ole Miss at the Napiers.
The Napiers.
That's a good weekend. Then a rivalry weekend. Are you familiar with A&M versus Texas? I bet you are. Auburn at Bama. Great weekend. State at Ole Miss. OU at LSU. I'm intrigued by that one.
For sure.
Arkansas, Mizzou. Don't care.
Don't care.
So, yeah, I think that LSU weekend from all these matchups. But let's be very honest. These are storylines are going to develop because maybe Florida is that team that Callie apparently thinks that they're going to be.
Yeah, I'll stand by that now. I guess that's my take on that now.
What does that mean? That you think they're going to win 9 games?
Oh, no.
They're going to win 5 games?
I would say 5. Yeah. If the line's at 5.5, I'll take the over.
So you'll say 6?
Sure.
Okay. I don't don't know. I think they're going to lose 5 straight to end the season. But what do I know? And they're going to lose to Texas A&M on the road. Or we'd be on the road. They would be at home. All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Radio on a Wednesday. Tomorrow on the program, I believe, I'm fairly sure I'm right because I make the decisions on the show, Jamie Morrison will be on the program. Dustin Harris will be on the program. Joni Taylor will be on the program. And Esteban McGee. All those knuckleheads, they're not knuckleheads, Stephen McGee is though. All those friends will be on the show tomorrow on TexAgs Radio. Well, that's going to do it. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We will see you all mañana.